Hey everyone, welcome to another Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the absolutely devastating complexities of the 2026 NEET UG paper leak controversy. This is a story about education, impossibly high stakes, and a massive test of faith in the very systems designed to gauge merit.
So you really got to wonder, how exactly did a standardized test, one that's literally meant to evaluate aspiring doctors, transform into a historic nationwide battle between the youth and a massive bureaucratic system? Well, to understand why thousands of students hit the streets, we first have to understand what was on the line.
To truly wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this crisis, we have to start right here. 2.27 million students sat for the NEET UG exam on May 3, 2026. In India, if you want to become a doctor, this is it. It's the singular gateway. Families will often invest their entire life savings into coaching, and students stake years of grueling, singular preparation on just this one single day. But you know, behind those massive statistics is an incredible human cost. That cost is perfectly captured by Aryan, a student from Ludhiana, who simply said, "I cried a lot." When the realization finally set in that the exam he had completely dedicated his life to had been fundamentally compromised and canceled, he was devastated. And honestly, that sentiment echoed across the entire country. Okay, moving to Section 1, Anatomy of a Leak, Breaching the NTA. The chaos that followed was incredibly rapid. Within a matter of mere weeks, a nationwide exam was conducted, exposed as fraudulent through the circulation of a highly accurate guest paper, entirely canceled by the Ministry of Education, handed straight over to federal investigators, and then forcibly re-administered. It was a complete logistical and emotional roller coaster for millions of people.
And here's the crucial point on how this all went down. According to the Central Bureau of Investigation, NTA-appointed subject experts allegedly betrayed the students. Teachers who had access to highly confidential material leaked the paper directly to coaching centers. The going rate? We're talking bribes reaching up to 15 lakh rupees per paper for families willing to pay for an unfair advantage.
Which brings us to Section 2, Students to Streets, a nationwide outcry.
The genesis of the primary organizing group here is actually fascinating. The Cockroach Janta Party, or CJP, started entirely as a sarcastic social media response to a judge's harsh words comparing unemployed youth to cockroaches and parasites. But as the anger over this exam leak grew, this digital satire evolved into a very real, nationwide street protest demanding absolute accountability.
And the movement reached a true boiling point when prominent environmentalist and education reformer Sonam Wangchuk joined the students at Janta. He fasted for 21 straight days in solidarity, demanding a judicial inquiry before he was actually forcibly removed to a hospital by police because his health was deteriorating so badly. Naturally, this action only amplified the students' resolve.
All right, Section 3, Crackdowns and Clash. The state responds.
These aspiring doctors took their fight for fairness far beyond social media. They marched right on Parliament in New Delhi. They faced down authorities at Lok Bhavan in Patna. Over in Mumbai, thousands gathered at Shivaji Park despite massive police deployments. We are looking at a truly nationwide outcry echoing through major urban centers. Now, neutrally speaking, the lines were clearly drawn here. The protesters had very strict demands: the education minister's resignation, the dissolution of the testing agency, and a 1 crore rupee compensation for affected families. The government, on the other hand, responded purely administratively. They formed a high-level review committee to reform the agency and deployed the CBI to root out the criminal element.
Impartially reporting the facts on the ground, the clashes on the streets escalated quite severely. Police utilized tear gas, water cannons, lathi charges, and mass preemptive detentions to maintain public order during the parliament sessions. These actions directly prompted organizations like Amnesty International to step in, raising some very serious human rights concerns regarding the treatment of these demonstrators.
The battle also moved into the courtrooms. However, when lawyers attempted to show the Supreme Court video evidence of the alleged police brutality during the New Delhi protests, the Chief Justice bluntly refused to view them at the mentioning stage. He basically told the counsel not to waste the court's time, emphasizing that the court was focused on procedural matters rather than urgent oral interventions.
Meanwhile, academic institutions pushed back as well. The Association of Indian Universities actively urged colleges to counsel students away from the protests.
Their argument? Well, they stated that prolonged agitations come at a considerable cost to the students' actual studies, their well-being, and academic progress, basically urging them to have faith in the system's reform process.
Section 4. A decade of crises. Systemic flaws.
Zooming out, we can see this is part of a 10-year pattern. Across 4 different ministers, spanning over a decade, we see 4 separate reform promises. Yet the exact same crisis of credibility keeps repeating itself over and over. Whether it's the creation of a brand new testing agency or a new law, the core issue of exam security has persistently haunted the education sector.
And it's fascinating to observe how the legal threshold for ordering a nationwide retest seems to have completely shifted over time. Back in 2015, just 44 identified beneficiaries of a leak triggered a national retest, but in 2024, despite having 155 identified beneficiaries and a much larger overall candidate pool, a retest was denied. This inconsistency has, for sure, fueled a ton of the students' current frustration.
Finally, Section 5. Investigation unfolds, restoring trust.
So, to ensure the June 21st retest was absolutely flawless, the government enacted unprecedented security measures. The CBI aggressively pursued the network, arresting over 13 key suspects. The military was even brought in. They literally utilized Indian Air Force planes just to transport the new question papers. Furthermore, the Prime Minister announced fast-track courts specifically to handle these leak cases swiftly.
But, and this is absolutely crucial to take away from this explainer, we have to talk about the tragic human toll. Beyond the politics, beyond the logistics, an estimated 21 students lost their lives to suicide amid the extreme stress, heartbreak, and uncertainty of this entire controversy. It is a deeply sobering reminder of the immense pressure these students are forced to operate under.
Yet amidst all that despair, the systemic failures, and the massive protests, we also have to highlight the incredible resilience of the youth. Many individuals, like the student referenced by his mother here, wiped their tears, got right back to their books, and fought for a fair shot at their dreams, eventually succeeding in the highly monitored retest. Which brings us to the end of our analysis. The students fought for fairness, the government implemented rapid crackdowns and retests, but the deeper question still remains. We're going to leave you with this final, provocative thought to consider regarding the future of education in India. Can a system that repeatedly fails to protect its own exams ever truly evaluate the merit of its students? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep asking the